Weekly looks at the state of legal practice in Nigeria. It's an issue constantly on the minds of most legal practitioners in the country. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ayorinde, will join me shortly on the program. But first, let's do a quick recap of the top legal stories in the news. I'm Shola Shayeli, and this is Law Weekly on Channels Television. The majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Mr. Chidi Lloyd, finally regained his freedom at about 4 p.m. last week Wednesday. The trial judge, Justice Leighton Nyodi of the State High Court, Port Harcourt, who last week Tuesday ordered the detention of Mr. Lloyd in custody, granted him bail in the sum of 10 million naira and 3 sureties. Two of the sureties, Justice Nyodi said, must have landed property with proof of ownership within Port Harcourt, while the accused must deposit his international passport with the court. Justice Nyodi also said one of the sureties must be a civil servant of level 16 and above in the state civil service. Mr. Lloyd is facing 6 counts of attempted murder, assault, intent to maim, and destruction of government property. The court has adjourned the matter till November 21 for hearing of an application which seeks to discountenance the information provided by the police. From Port Harcourt to Abuja, 2 or 3 Lebanese businessmen accused of terrorism and illegal importation of arms have denied having any link with the Hezbollah of Lebanon. The 2 suspects also told the Federal High Court in Abuja that they were interrogated by 6 Israeli Mossad agents. The first accused person, Mustafa Fawaz, says he was interrogated by the Israeli agents for 14 days and made to undergo a polygraph test without being allowed to sleep. The second suspect, Abdullahi Tahini, who admits to being a member of Hezbollah between 1986 and 1989, says he severed his relationship with the organization since his relocation to Nigeria. Justice Ademola Adeniyi has adjourned the case to the 30th of September for adoption of written addresses. He also ordered the Department of State Service to allow agents of the accused persons to have access to their properties at Wonderland and Amigo Supermarket twice a week for the purpose of inspection and maintenance. In neighboring Ghana, the country's Supreme Court said last Wednesday that it will rule by August 29 on an opposition challenge to the results of last December's presidential election, which was won by incumbent John Mahama. Justice Williams Atububa told the packed court during closing arguments in the case that the panel of 9 judges will issue its verdict 15 days after a further hearing due on the 14th of August. 4 lawyers involved in the case said they understood the statement to mean a ruling will be issued on or before August 29 on an election that was the first in Africa to use biometric data for voter registration. Opposition leader Nana Akufo-Addo had challenged the outcome of the poll, claiming Mahama's slim 50.7% victory was tarnished by irregularities in the election data, and that he would have won if only valid ballots had been counted. The outcome could have big implications for the West African state, where investor excitement over a strong economy is tempered by concern over macroeconomic instability. And we round off in Zimbabwe, where the main opposition political party has launched a legal action against President Robert Mugabe and his ZANU-PF party's landslide victory in last week's polls. President Mugabe has been in power since the country gained independence 33 years ago. Lawyers for outgoing Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai, leader of the defeated Movement for Democratic Change, filed an appeal with the Constitutional Court last week Friday over the parliamentary and presidential election results. The lawyers said they discovered that 870,000 names were duplicated on the voters' list. They therefore want the court to declare the polls null and void and for fresh elections to be held in 60 days.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard. ChannelsTV.com. The news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Some senior lawyers met last week at a forum held in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. They discussed the issue of corruption and undue delay in the administration of justice. After discussions, they agreed that there is a need to re-examine the quality of lawyers in the country and instill more discipline in the legal profession. Here's the report from that meeting.
Senior legal practitioners, including the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mohammed Uwais, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, and other legal and political bigwigs gathered here as it was a moment of stock-taking in the nation's legal profession. The challenge is clearly how to resuscitate the appalling state of the profession and modernize the practice. This move follows growing dissatisfaction over undue delays in the courts.
The maximum number of months for the trial of a case on the average should be 12 months or at most 18 months. Why should our cases remain in the court for as close to 5 or 10 years before going to the Court of Appeal and then Supreme Court and coming back probably for a trial de novo or another hearing?
The question of too many lawyers involved in sharp practices has become commonplace in the country. Some of the practitioners were quick to relate this with the poor welfare packages and the need for the Nigerian Bar Association to embark on more training of the lawyers.
There are courtrooms in this country that are operating from thatch houses. Those are the issues. You need to modernize the courts. And like I said, I know, yes, lawyers who have issues with some lawyers who want to delay cases and all that, but I still don't accept that responsibility. Why not? Because I recognize the fact that a judge should remain dominus litis, i.e. a judge must be in charge of his or her court.
What we seem to lack is the willpower to execute some of those ideas. And if we're there, I'm sure we can succeed.
The lawyers also observed that the Council of Legal Practitioners would begin to look into having qualified examinations as a prerequisite for enrollment into the Nigerian Law School to checkmate the preponderance of unqualified lawyers.
To discuss more about some of the issues in that report, I spoke with a senior advocate of Nigeria, Ayorinde, to get his perspective and some solutions for going forward. How would you assess the current state of legal practice in the country today?
Well, we could really be doing better. And what has set us back really and truly has been the preparation for legal practice itself, the education, right from the undergraduate level and to law school, and again what people expect from the legal profession. The freshers coming in, what they expect, and the kind of structures that we should really have. So as it is, we have not done as well as we should be doing.
Because
the structures are not adequate. The legal profession is different from any other profession in the sense that it sorts of oils the polity. It oils the polity, the state itself, the politics of the country, the development of the country is interwoven with the legal profession. So it is something that we must seriously look at. At the present moment, we are not doing too well.
You talked about having the right institutions. What are the steps that we should take to ensure that these institutions are in place?
Well, you see, it's not a fire brigade approach. It's something that has to be continuous. It's a consistent thing. For example, in England, where we took the profession from, you have what we call the Royal Commissions. We should have commissions and committees that constantly meet to review every aspect. We don't wait for things to go bad before we now want to have a fire brigade approach. So first of all, we must look at every area of the profession and set up commissions to review this and come up with recommendations.
When you say we now, the Nigerian Bar Association, or is it
The lawyers,
judges?
the bar, the judges, some of these commissions will be headed by senior judges, by senior lawyers, and everybody that is involved will come together on different topics and make recommendations. And these recommendations must be implemented. We don't want to have talk shops and nothing happens. We must first of all decide and agree that we have a problem. After we have recognized the problem, we provide solutions, and we must put structures in place to actually implement what these commissions and committees come up. Because you see, the world is not stagnant. Legal practice cannot be stagnant. Legal education cannot be stagnant. For example, we have Nigerian Law School that prepares students for the bar with the headquarters in Abuja, and we have 3 other campuses. We should really have gone beyond that at this point, because what we really should have are accredited institutions preparing students for bar exams. They don't have to be on campuses like university students. Law itself is a vocation. So there could be somewhere you could take your bar lectures in Ibadan. You could take your bar lectures at Uyo, and there will be centers for exams to be taken. And if there are other traditions that are required, like having dinners, then you could actually travel to certain centers and have the dinners there before you are called to the bar. We shouldn't still be at the stage where we have 3 campuses for Nigerian Law School. Right from university level, we should begin to tailor would-be lawyers towards certain ethics of the profession. We should be able to tailor certain lawyers towards specialization. For example, in a country like the Congo-Brazzaville, you find out that they have specialized training for judges right from university. They ask you, you want to be a lawyer, they call themselves advocates, and you choose whether you want to be at the private bar or you want to be a judge. Then your training as a judge starts from day one. Similar in certain degrees, but again, they start to train you on how to perform judicial functions right from a very early stage of your career. So there's so many ideas, but we need to sit down and bring out these ideas and implement these ideas.
How bad would you say the problem of indiscipline at the bar is?
Well, the bar is constituted of Nigerians. So it is a general malaise. You cannot say because somebody has become a lawyer, so suddenly he stops being a Nigerian. He falls into the same problem, the same pressures. So it's a general problem.
It's a Nigerian
It's a Nigerian problem. The problem of indiscipline, the problem of corruption, and it is something that needs a lot of cleansing, right from the very top, and so you cannot really say it is indiscipline in the bar or it is indiscipline in the judiciary. It is a Nigerian problem, and we have to tackle it.
But I guess it amazing to people more when it concerns the judiciary, which is supposed to be, like we say, the last hope of the common man.
I wonder why it will amaze them, because these are your brothers and your sisters.
Well, these are the people that are supposed to be above board.
They are supposed to be above board, but they are also Nigerians. They are also Nigerians. And one of the reasons why it has become like that is because, unlike in the past, where judges are practically cut away from the society, then they were able to maintain a high level of independence. They were not very social. They did not mix with everybody. But now, there is so much mix-up.
So is that a problem in itself?
It is a problem.
Mix more?
Yes, it is a problem in itself. Because how do you will put pressure on a judge that appears at every function? These days you see a public function, the governor of a state is sitting down, the speaker is sitting down, next you see the chief judge. It should not be so. When you say independence of the judiciary and the judges should be completely set aside. When you mix with somebody publicly and socially, then the person is exposed to you. So it is something that not only do we try to correct internally within the judiciary or the judicial system, it is something that the executive and the legislature must also look at and say we need to keep these people apart from us. Because when we have troubles, they are the ones that decide. So there must be a conscious effort. Let's go back to how they used to do it, so that judges don't go about social clubs and mix at parties. It shouldn't be so.
You grew up with a father that was a judge.
Yes.
And so you're saying that back in those days, he didn't used to socialize much. You didn't have cases of people coming to the house to say, help us do this, this person is a relative.
Yes.
You know, it didn't used to happen in those days.
Because you see, they had very, very limited number of friends. You could count their friends with your one hand and say these are 2, 3 people. And the people that are close or that were close to them would never, never abuse the friendship.
Because they were few anyway.
Because they were few anyway. And you will see that in those days, the kind of accommodation that judges were given were, very well appointed accommodation. They would have in their large compounds, they would have lawn tennis courts, they will have areas where they could walk around, and they will have their amenities and facilities all set out for them, because they were not expected to go to play squash at the recreation club every afternoon, where they will meet up with everybody. Yes, so they were actually very protected, so they had few friends, so it was different then. That is what we grew up to know. And it's important that we try to get back to those standards. Yes.
This allegation that judges indicted for corruption don't act alone, and most times they're compromised by lawyers, senior lawyers at that. How best do you think, I know you've talked about the executive and the legislature insulating the judiciary from some of the social activities, but how best do you think that the bar and the bench itself can tackle this issue of corruption?
You see, there are a lot of things that we have taken for granted with regards to the profession and ethics. Bribery is at the far end. That is at the very far end. Where we have unethical practices that appear to be something we can sweep under the carpet, and we do. That is what gives the boldness to get to the level of bribery. For example, if a lawyer is untruthful with clients' accounts, and you discover that, and the lawyer eventually pays the client back, and they settle, and the client who has petitioned withdraws the petition, and you say that's the end of the matter. It shouldn't be the end of the matter. So you see, those so-called small infractions should be punished heavily. When you punish those, then nobody will even think of carrying a bribe to a judge. So you must deal with the whole thing holistically. You know, we must have very vibrant disciplinary procedures. I'm not sure how many prosecutors the disciplinary committees have.
You have up to 10.
That can never be enough. That cannot be enough. And it is too central. How many cases of unethical practice do we want to take to Abuja? The local bars should have the powers to discipline.
I think they have decentralized it.
Yes, to some extent, but it is not enough. It is not enough. 10 prosecutors can never be enough. And when you prosecute, you publicize. You publicize. We have so many bar journals. I have not seen a journal in Nigeria that has a section for disciplinary matters. I have not seen one. But if you buy the Law Society Gazette, every week, as clean as we think they are in England, they have at least 10, 15 cases every week. And they publicize it. The decision of the tribunal or the committee is there.
Talking about publicizing, wouldn't it also help if lawyers name names? You know, you've heard this issue, maybe like you talked about the client who, the lawyer who, you know, mishandled his client's money, and then the client withdraws the petition. And perhaps the client goes to another lawyer and say, oh, I had issue with that client, with that lawyer, who did so and so. And the lawyers like to keep it as a family affair. They don't even mention names. They don't name names. So I think that encourages the problem. Don't you agree?
Well, is it about naming names? If there's what I say,
names, name and shame.
That's right. But you see, you name and shame after you have prosecuted. Okay. You don't name and shame because somebody says something. That can lead to any manner of all sorts of repercussions. What I mean and what I'm trying to say is that if there is a petition by a client and for whatever reason the client decides to withdraw the petition, it cannot end there. The disciplinary procedure must take its course. And once the lawyer is guilty, it must be publicized.
What I'm trying to say is, even if the client withdraws his petition, or even if on the face of it, it appears that something has been done, can't the bar be proactive and say, let's deal with this, rather than wait for a petition even in the first place?
We are saying exactly the same thing. You see, once you make a complaint, then it's on record. You cannot make a complaint at a bar while you are drinking with your friends. That is informal.
Okay. So it has to be formally
So it has to be formally made.
before the bar can even...
That is it.
get
So once it is formally made, the point I'm now introducing is that once it is made, it cannot be withdrawn until it is investigated and there's a result.
That's the program this week. You can catch any part of it that you missed by logging on to YouTube/ChannelsWeb. Be sure to like our Facebook page and of course follow me on Twitter. I'm Shola Shoyeli. Thank you for watching.